Bobo was the alpha male at the Mefou Primate Sanctuary, and he always had a smile for everyone. So when he started acting differently, the staff knew something was wrong. Soon they learned Bobo was hiding something in his hands, and when they discovered what it was, they were shocked. This wasn't typical of an ape. Bobo was 2 years old when he arrived at the Mefou Primate Sanctuary. At such a tender age, poor Bobo had to watch poachers take his mum away, so he was left all alone with no animal or human friend. But despite the setback, he didn't let it get to him and decided to take life one step at a time. On Bobo's first day at the sanctuary, he sat in his enclosure and kept his head down. He was very timid. He was also scared because he didn't know if he was in a safe space. Some of the staff members gave him food, but he didn't even look up or eat his food. The staff was so worried about Bobo because he looked very hungry and lean, as if he could pass out from starvation at any moment. The other animals at the sanctuary didn't make it any easier either. They kept staring at Bobo, and that made him very uncomfortable. Later that evening, when one staff member, Elissa, resumed work, her colleagues told her that Bobo wouldn't eat nor leave his cage. Elissa knew how to get on the good side of animals, so she went to Bobo's enclosure and decided to try her luck. When she was a few feet away from him, she crouched down and said, "Hey little boy, I know you have been through so much, but if you let me, I can help you." She then stretched her hands, but Bobo walked farther away from her. Seems it wasn't going to be that easy, right? But not to worry, this young woman had many tricks up her sleeve, so she planned her next move. The next time around, Elissa clapped her hands until she got Bobo's attention. Afterward, she flashed a big smile at him, and well, it must have been one hell of a smile because Bobo immediately got up and went straight to his food. The smile also made Bobo feel very relaxed, and he felt safe with Elissa. "Good boy, that's my boy," Elissa said, as Bobo devoured his food. Ever since then, these two became best friends. No wonder that when Bobo started acting crazy, Elissa was the first person to notice it. As the years passed, Elissa realized Bobo enjoyed dominance, and she knew he would someday overthrow the alpha male and take his position. So she taught him some tricks, and fortunately, Bobo was a good student and a fast learner. When the time was right, Bobo attacked the leader, and he won the fight, so he became the new alpha male. When he came a few years ago, he was shy and timid. It's so beautiful how he has matured over the years. He's also a good leader. Some younger males tried to overthrow Bobo, but they weren't successful, so they eventually stopped attempting to take control. Bobo loved to show off, so he always walked around the enclosure proudly. Sometimes he even went to each cage to check if the rest of the primates were doing fine. Once, he saved one of the primates who had sustained a cut on her leg after she stepped on a sharp piece of iron. That day, Bobo had gone for his routine check and noticed the gorilla wasn't in her cage, so he went in search of her. When he finally found her, she was in a lot of pain and couldn't walk. Bobo returned to his cage and anxiously waited for Elissa. Luckily, she arrived within a few minutes, and Bobo led her to the injured animal. But a few months after Bobo rescued this animal, he suddenly started acting very strange. Rather than acting bold and courageous like an alpha male, Bobo became very timid, just like on his first day at the sanctuary. He didn't let anyone, including Elissa, come close to him. Elissa was so worried, and several thoughts crossed her mind. Was Bobo sick? Had he done something bad, or was someone threatening him? Elissa asked the other staff if they had noticed any strange interaction between Bobo and a caretaker, but they said no. They also told Elissa everyone had been kind to Bobo, including visitors who came to the sanctuary. Elissa thought things would get better after a few days, but it only got worse. Bobo started hiding in the long grass close to the sanctuary's gate. At some point, Elissa tried following him, but that only got Bobo upset, and he walked farther into the grass. "Hey Bobo, it's me. You can always trust me. Have you forgotten?" she asked him, but nothing she did worked. Now it seemed Bobo's secret was more important than the bond she had with him, and this animal was bent on hiding it from her as long as he could. Luckily, Elissa was a tough one too, and she was determined to uncover the truth. She hoped Bobo wasn't in a deep mess though. You see, most of the rescue animals in the shelter were traumatized in some way. So, was Bobo going through a psychological crisis? Whatever the case may be, Elissa needed to help him as quickly as she could. That evening, Elissa started watching Bobo intently. She didn't make it obvious, as Bobo would get scared and run away. You see, the sanctuary was funded by Ape Action Africa. Because of the rise in popularity of illegal bushmeat and animal trade, most of the staff at the shelter vowed to do everything they could to help and save these primates. And trust me, they were all very serious about that promise. So it's no surprise that they all joined forces with Elissa to keep an eye on Bobo. The next day, after Bobo left the grassy patch where he had been hiding, Elissa went to check things out for herself. When she got there, she searched the entire area but found nothing, so she suspected the area had nothing to do with Bobo's secret. Afterward, she went to Bobo's enclosure and noticed that his palms were closed. She waved at him, but Bobo looked away. Before, whenever she waved at him, he would wave back. This animal definitely had something in his hands, Elissa thought. She tried to get close to him so she could see what he was holding, but Bobo created more distance between them. Now, Elissa was running out of patience. She couldn't wait till evening time or the next day to uncover the truth. It had to be now. So, as each second passed, she took careful steps closer to her animal friend. After 15 minutes, she got close enough to see what was fussing in Bobo's hands. Although she couldn't see it clearly, she was certain it wasn't an object. Instead, it was a living creature. What kind of animal was Bobo holding? And how did it even get into his hands? Was it a rodent? Whatever it was, the animal seemed pretty content, resting in the gorilla's giant paw. As soon as Bobo realized Elissa had discovered his secret, he got spooked and headed off into the overgrown grass. Elissa didn't run after him. Instead, she thought about a plan that would help her make out what Bobo was holding. Yes, Elissa screamed in excitement when an idea struck her. She walked briskly to the office, fetched her binoculars, and she ran off to the grassy area. Using the pair of binoculars, Elissa realized Bobo wasn't holding a rodent but a primate. You see, even though the sanctuary took care of many apes, they knew each one of them. So Elissa knew the primate in Bobo's hand wasn't from the sanctuary. If that was the case, where did the animal come from? After studying the animal, Elissa realized it was a bush baby and that it probably came from the forest surrounding the sanctuary. Well, Elissa now knew what the gorilla was hiding. After many trials, she convinced Bobo she meant no harm to the primate, and Bobo relaxed. Then she opened his hands and the bush baby hopped away. However, after a few minutes, it returned to Bobo's waiting hands. Soon the other apes realized what Bobo had been preoccupied with. They became curious and tried to have a look, but Bobo made sure no one disturbed his animal friend. A few days later, Bobo offered the galago a chance to return to its natural habitat. He lifted the animal to a tree branch overhanging the enclosure. After a few seconds, the animal ran off. For the rest of the day, Bobo was moody, and everyone knew he was missing his animal friend. However, the next day he resumed his alpha male duties. He started going for routine checks and walked proudly around the enclosure. What a brave and caring animal. I hope you enjoyed this story. Please don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell to get more beautiful stories like this.